Get ready to get inspired. This is the Go for the Goldie Podcast.
Welcome to a special Monday edition of the Go for the Goldie Podcast today. It's Monday, June 21st, and we're going to be celebrating the first day of summer here with someone who whoops my ass on a daily basis at F45. She's a fitness professional, rugby player, and a current member of the U.S. Army and a certified badass. Brittany Bryant. Brittany, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hello, great to be here, Goldie. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, yeah, usually we do this show on Wednesdays, but when I met you and learned about what you do, I was just like, we're going to bend over backwards and make sure that we get you on this show because you do a lot of really cool stuff, and I'm really excited to talk to you. But, let's get started with just a quick intro about yourself. Why don't you let the people know a little bit about you, who you are, and what you do.
Okay. So it's great to be here, Goldie. I appreciate it. So my name is Brittany Bryant. A little bit about myself. I'll just kind of go back. Growing up, I was never into athletics or anything. I was actually overweight for a period of my time. And then one year I decided I'm going to start running. So that's whenever I think my fitness journey and everything started. And then from there, I was in band in high school, and I actually got into powerlifting my senior year. I quit band for 7 years and went into powerlifting, which sparked my interest into the Army. And then actually, that's where I actually met. The introduction into rugby was going to my unit. The person who signed me up there actually said, "Oh, you should play rugby." And I told them that I've always wanted to play. And so that's where it all started. I started playing rugby in about 2017, and then went off to basic training, went to overseas to Kuwait, and I actually did a lot of CrossFit events there. That's whenever I got really into CrossFit, different events like triathlons, a 10-mile run, etc. And then came back, got back into rugby again, and actually decided to start doing personal training and continue my schooling. So that's where I'm at now.
Wow, there's a lot to unpack there. That's pretty cool. The first thing that kind of sticks out to me is like, that being in the military is obviously a very physically demanding thing, especially, being in the Army. And it sounds like you're the person who's just like, all right, yeah, that's all fine and dandy, but let's make it harder on myself. Let's start doing triathlons, you said, and, rugby. That's pretty wild. So how did you, from someone who, like you said, you were never really an athlete growing up, right? You were just more, you found running early on, and that's what kind of got you on that path?
Yes. So growing up, I think it was my 8th grade year, I was about 180 pounds. I was overweight. I had my family consistently comment on my weight. I had kind of an unhealthy relationship with food. And then I was tired of looking at myself in the mirror and just seeing the way I looked, feeling the way I felt, and just hearing kids say the things that they did, because kids were pretty harsh back then. But, and then the very first day I went for a run, I literally grabbed all this obnoxious stuff thinking I would need it to go run, and went down the block, and I felt like I was dying. But with it, I don't know how I did it.
Hey, the longest journey begins with the first step, right? And that's all it takes, is just taking that first step and then going from there. That's interesting. I always have this, like, I listen to Joe Rogan a lot. And I don't. So you do too, I'm assuming, by that nod.
I do.
Okay. So one of the things he always brings up, and I find it interesting that you kind of like are someone that, unfortunately but fortunately in a weird way, like, he talks about bullying a lot. Like, sometimes bullying brings out the best in people, right?
Yeah.
And if you hadn't been bullied growing up, it's a weird dynamic, because obviously you never want to see a kid have to deal with the mental stress of that. But at the same time, what if you never were bullied? Like, what if you never decided to take that first step, right? So, I don't know. Just a weird thought that popped in my head. I just equated that to because he talks about that a lot,
Yeah, I think about it all the time. I'm pretty sure if I wasn't bullied and all that, I probably would have stayed in band and gone and done that instead of the Army. And yeah, probably would where I am now, that's for sure.
So what did you play in band, out of curiosity?
I played the tuba.
The tuba. Nice.
Yeah.
So I was a brass player as well. I played the trombone.
Oh, I was going to say you look like a trumpet player, not a trombone player.
Yeah, the trumpet just, I don't know. The mouthpiece was too small. There was only 3 keys. It seemed like a lot of work. You know what I mean? So
I guess.
Yeah, I actually still have a trombone, but I have like so many different hobbies. I'm the kind of person who, if I get a hobby, I get fixated on it. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I just don't have the time to just dive all into music. And if you're gonna do music, you want to do it right. You know what I mean? You're not gonna play
absolutely
an hour here and there. So so I got a question. So where originally are you from? Are you from this area or?
Yes, born and raised Dallas, Texas.
Wow. What is it like? I always talk about this, with friends around here. It's like I can't imagine growing up here and seeing the growth. You know, I've only been here for like 3 years, and it looks completely different. I can't imagine you living here your whole life. What part of Dallas are you from?
I'm from Frisco, Texas. It's honestly really crazy. There's this little strip that hasn't changed at all, called off of Main Street, if you know where that's at. But that's the only area of Frisco that's actually not changed. I've seen high schools pop up left and right. They literally put a school right next to my school. There's all the fields. They're just disappearing, and it's kind of sad to see your, childhood area just kind of disappear right before your eyes. Mm-hmm. But it's also a really small area because you know everyone in the area, and you can't get away from all these people.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't know this, but I live in Frisco Square, so I.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I run Main Street basically daily. So because it's like really the only hill around here. You know what I mean? When you run from Frisco Square to Main Street, so I do that a lot. But I moved here to work for FC Dallas. Actually, that's why I live where I live.
Oh, okay.
Because I could do tours and game days, I could just literally walk across the street and go to the games. So. And we love it here, though. I'm originally from Buffalo, and let's just say it's very different. It's very different. We love it here. So growing up here, getting into running and all that stuff, and then you decided to join the military. How long was that? Like straight out of high school, then?
Yes, I actually signed when I was 17 still. So I signed in 2017, hadn't graduated yet. And as soon as I graduated, I left for basic training in September. And then I got back, and almost immediately as soon as I got back, I got sent overseas. So that's why I'm a little late in my college career, but it's honestly probably the best decision I've ever made.
Yeah, I hate the idea that like when you're 17, you have to decide that you're gonna go in massive debt and decide what you want to do the rest of your life. Like, yeah. I'm much older than you. I'm 34, and I literally just got my degree when I was 31. So, yeah.
Hey, that matters.
Yeah, you're not late to the party. So,
yeah.
If anyone's late. What'd you say?
As long as you're using it too. A lot of people, they get their degree and they don't even use it.
Yeah, well, that's actually the unfortunate thing. I've had a crazy timeline because I didn't have a degree. I've been a sales guy my whole professional career. So I did technology sales, I did insurance sales, I did just all kinds of sales. And then I wanted to work in pro sports, and that's why we moved to Frisco. So I got hired here before I got my degree, and Major League Soccer has a partnership with Southern New Hampshire. So I was like, well, I'll get my degree in sports management now because I had a ton of credits. We'll talk about this in a second, but I actually played rugby at the University of Buffalo. So
oh, nice.
Yeah. So they, but anyway, I had 1 million credits all over the place. I'd never really figured out what I wanted to do. So then I was like, I'll go get my degree in sports management, and then got the job with FC Dallas. And, got my degree while I had the job with FC Dallas, and then the pandemic hit, and I no longer work at FC Dallas. So it was like,
I mean, everything's coming back, so just give it some time.
Yeah, that's right. And I could eventually get into sports again, but I'm in a good spot right now. But so you got into the military and then started getting into rugby. What was that like? Because you had never played before, and that's a pretty wild sport to just kind of pick up later in life. When I say later in life, you're 18, 19, right?
I'm 20, but yeah, I'm still pretty young. I was always interested in rugby, and I'd been looking for a team whenever I was in high school, but I could never find one because they're super rare, especially for women's. But my uncle is the one who got me into rugby because my dad told me about stories how he used to go watch him play, actually at the same university I play with. he went out there and got his nose broken. So he reset it on the sidelines, went back out there and broke a guy's leg, and they drank beer afterwards. And that's, I don't know why, but that, I was like, oh, I'm sold. I want to play rugby. I want to do this. So
Yeah.
pretty much how I got it.
The idea of like that camaraderie is what I really enjoyed about the games or the matches, is that, afterward, no matter what happened on the field, or what do they call it, a pitch, or what's it called?
Yeah, the pitch.
Yeah. No matter what happened on the pitch during the game, it's a mutual respect for the sport, and you go out afterward to kind of celebrate the competition, regardless of what happened on there. So yeah, you're exactly right about that. I love that.
Yeah.
I had a guy on my so one of my sponsors for triathlon, they're called Rubcore. It's a Rub Floor company, and shout out to Rubcore. And the guy's name is Roger, and he actually played professional rugby in Ireland for 15 years at the highest level.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I had him on the show, and he's interesting to follow on like Facebook and Instagram and all that stuff, because he'll share old pictures from his rugby days. And I mean, this dude he came to my first triathlon he came to a triathlon down here to record me, for Rubcore and stuff. And he met my fiance, and my fiance was just like, that guy is freaking massive. And I'm like, well, he played professional rugby, and had a long career. It wasn't like a cup of coffee,
No.
What position are you?
So this season, they usually have me all over the place because they consider me fast in the rugby world. But this season, I've been playing a lot of center. This last weekend, I actually played prop and hooker a little bit. And then I used to play a lot of wing. But yeah, I pretty much go anywhere and everywhere. I haven't really played much 15s, though, just mainly 7s.
So for those who don't know what she's referencing, think about football, like the NFL. You got 11 on 11. Well, 7s in rugby would basically be like football without the linemen. Would you say that's like?
Yes, pretty much. It's just a really fast game, and the time period is 14 minutes per game. So you got 7-minute halves, and then 2 minutes in the halftime, and then of course we don't have cheerleaders in a halftime show, but then there's another 7. So it's really fast paced.
Well, maybe you can be the halftime show with your tuba. Do a little marching around and play some music.
After playing that first half, hell no. You couldn't.
With oh shoot, I lost my train of thought. Yeah, I forgot what I was going to say. But so when you got, I mean, obviously you got into it in the military, but then you came back here and started playing here. What's the league like here? Like what other teams do you play? Like, what are the age groups? Just kind of like, what's an overall feel for the league?
So for the league that I played with the Dallas Harlequins whenever I first started, and I basically played the same teams almost every single time, which was super annoying. I played the Houston Huns, which I think they're actually national champions. They're freaking insane. There's the Valks. I think they're from Houston as well. And then there's the Austin Reds. And then I decided to recently switch over for this season to Alliance, based out in Keller. They're actually a Division 3, just because it's closer to me. And the Quins, they're Division 1, but a lot of times people wouldn't show up to practice, and it was super frustrating to drive an hour and a half and then not have practice. So
yeah,
actually show up at least. But it's fun. I'm just, come, I guess, the fall semester, I'll be going back to UNT and playing 15s with them.
Very cool. So when you say like divisions, like obviously I'm assuming Division 1's like top tier or whatever. Yeah. And gotcha. So if there's that many, how many teams are around here? It sounds like there's a lot. If you're talking about Division 1 and 3, and
I'm finding more and more. So this last weekend we played against 2 teams I'd never heard of. One of them, I guess, is out of Denton, and they're a U23. So basically, U23 means that they're an all-star team of anyone of the 23 age or below. So it was a bunch of these like little girls basically, and they were fast as hell. There's another team that was branched off of the Houston team. I guess they made a new team. There's another team coming up called the Gorillas. They already have a guy team established, but there's not a women's one. So there's all kinds of teams trying to pop up. But right now the biggest issue for women's rugby is recruiting, because a lot of women, they try to they're just scared of the idea of the sport because they think it's super duper hardcore, but it's really not that hardcore. Like the worst injury I've ever gotten is probably a broken nose.
Yeah, I learned that. I found it pretty interesting because I think a lot of people don't. I think people see the idea of no pads and freak out, but that forces you to be more aware of your body, and there isn't any blindside like hits or that, you know what I mean. Like when you tackle, you have to maintain a grasp to the ground. You know, it's like you're finishing the tackle, whereas like in football, you know, you're all padded up. You got, you know, a helmet and with the face mask, and you got shoulder pads, and you could just leave your feet and pretend like your body's a torpedo, and with no regard for yourself or other people. And that just doesn't happen in rugby. And I think that's a misconception that, I mean, it's still pretty wild to be running around out there without pads, but
Yeah.
it's not as dangerous as people, you know, make it out to be, I think, sometimes. I don't know. What do you think about that?
I totally agree. Like I've actually never gotten a concussion from rugby, which is crazy, especially to me. I think it depends on your position too. And I play super smart. So if I know I'm gonna go for a tackle, I don't go in really lazily. You have to prepare for it, just like a race. You know, you can't just go something expecting that you're going to do really well and be okay out of it. Like if you don't prepare, you might get dehydrated, you might get a heat stroke, for example, for like a race. Same thing for rugby. If you don't practice your tackles or practice your throws and you know, do the fundamentals, then yeah, you could get hurt. It's just like anything else, you know. So just have that mindset that you are going to wreck someone's crap, otherwise you're going to get your crap wrecked.
Yeah, that's a great point, because I think it's the same thing with football too, is if you play like you're going to get hurt, you probably will get hurt. You know,
Yes.
it's the mentality. You have to go in. You're going to be a hammer. That's it. There's no being the nail. You're the hammer.
Yes, I love that, especially when I'm training. Like, if anyone at F45 is listening to this and they see me train, and I just look like I'm scary, because I'm sitting there thinking about how I'm going to use this training to my advantage in my next game, and the person that I'm going to basically wreck the next time I play.
Yeah, there was. I think it was last week. You were in there and you weren't training. You weren't like being the trainer. You were.
Yeah.
Yeah, working out, and I was like, oh, damn, okay.
See how it goes.
But that's cool. That's cool that you have that killer instinct. I mean, obviously, it goes along. You know, the person that you are. You know, I mean, my first experience really meeting you was, I think, the Murph. Maybe it was. I think I saw you maybe that day that that you did the first open F45 workout in that field. But I mean, like. Yeah, but you did the Murph and you crushed it, and I was like, oh, okay. Like that was my first ever time like really talking to you, and I'm like, oh, she's a killer. Okay, got it.
I love that. I do that workout so much every year. I probably do it at least 10 times a year because I just love it so much.
Yeah, well, it has such a special meaning, and I mean, to anybody it has special meaning, but especially to someone like you who has, you know, military involvement. If you want to go ahead and explain, for those who don't know, we're talking about what's called the Murph Workout, and the situation I was just talking about was Brittany's coach at F45. It's a functional training gym with structured workouts based off of a 45-minute window, but we did a special event on Memorial Day in honor of this workout, and you can go ahead and kind of explain what we're talking about so people are filled in.
Yeah, so the Murph is a workout that's actually dedicated to a Navy SEAL, Lieutenant Murphy, excuse me. He was basically fighting in Afghanistan and everything, and he had made contact with these Afghanis, or as the Taliban, excuse me, all this terminology. But he basically was able to save a couple of his men because he risked his life after taking contact. And so it's in dedication for him. They call it body armor is what the actual original name is, because every single day he would do 300 air squats, 200 push-ups, and 100 pull-ups, which is all started with a mile run. And then after you do the 300, 200, 100, then you go into your second mile run. So he would do that with a 25-pound vest on as well.
Yeah, just an absolute beast of a workout, and it's just a cool thing to, a cool way to remember him and his sacrifice for our country. So I really enjoyed that. That was when I first, because I'd never really known much about F45 before. I've done it here and there, and I did it in Buffalo when I was home, but it was a pretty different experience than what you guys got going on at Little Elm. But yeah, that was a really cool experience, and I loved it, and it was hard to sell. And it was funny because obviously you remember, but it was pouring that day.
Yeah, it was pouring.
Yeah, it was dumping, and I remember me and Danny, because Danny's the one who got me into F45 and your location, and we got there and it was pouring, and he's like, "Do we just do the row machine?" And I go, "Dude, do you understand like what this workout represents? I think we can run in the rain for a mile." You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
So it was a really cool experience. But yeah, let's talk about, so now that like we kind of told everyone about your affiliation with F45, where in your life did you decide that you wanted to get into personal training and that aspect of it? Because I think a lot of people think, oh, this girl's a trainer, she's a fitness professional, so she's been that way her whole life, and obviously you weren't. So it's interesting that you decided to go that route with your career so far. So yeah, how did you make that decision?
I actually made that decision whenever I was deployed to Kuwait and I was doing CrossFit. So whenever we were doing CrossFit together and everything, after a while, after I got the hang of it, people started asking for some advice or, hey, can I work out with you? Like, you're doing all these awesome things, because I was competing a lot. And they said, oh, you're killing it. I need some pointers and all that. And so I started thinking to myself, like, I really got into fitness. So I was like, why don't I just do this for a job? I have this opportunity to go do another job for a whole bunch of money, but I was like, I don't want to do something about making money. I want to do something that I can actually help benefit others and be happy doing it while I do it as well. So that's how I got into personal training. I started doing my certification right there whenever I was overseas, and next thing you know, I'm certified. So that's where I'm at now.
That's great. And you're ACE certified, right?
Yes, I am.
Very cool. I actually just signed up for my NASM, so
Nice.
Yeah, I'm going for that, because kind of the same thing as you, except I'm old. But I was like, I'm so sick of just doing shit I don't want to do every day. You know what I mean? Like, I'd rather just like do rewarding work and be happy, as opposed to like, it's just like a burden for me to have to go to work every day. And I'm not gonna talk about my my job over the internet here, but let's just say I wouldn't hate being a professional trainer. At least I want to do it on the side. You know what I mean? And like help people one-on-one, and maybe do it, virtually, just to kind of, and my whole thing with this whole Go for the Goldie thing, I just want to inspire others, and that's why I want to talk to people like you. And the spectrum of people I've had on the show is just so vastly different. I want to show that no matter what your interests are, where you are in life, who you are, what your experiences are, you can always, change. You could always get better, and for the positive. So if I could like kind of parlay that to like a side gig, a side hustle, not even a hustle, just a way to help people and feel rewarding. That's kind of my goal. So like you were just saying. So that's really cool. That's very cool. So
yeah, if you ever need that too, by the way, I can always help you get there if you ever need advice on best outlets to personal train.
Yes, I'm definitely going to need that, because one of the things that I want to do, this is kind of like my vision, is I'm huge into YouTube. I've been making a lot of YouTube videos, and like on Fridays, me and my friends, we go to the Cowboys practice facility, the Star, and we do a lot of speed work on that field over there. So like I'll bring the ladder, we do sprints with the parachutes, I have a slam ball, we do a lot of stuff like that, and I'm trying to just like, so once I get certified, then I want to make like actual workout videos and put them on YouTube and say, all you'll need is this slam ball. You know what I mean? And here's a link to buy it off Amazon for $20 or whatever. And just to be, because I don't know if you can see the bike behind me. I ride my bike indoor a lot on this game called Zwift, and I stream that. And I play this game on Switch called Ring Fit Adventure. Just silly, funny ways to like be engaging, but like be fit. And I stream a lot of the races. And I have a race on Sunday, a triathlon, and I'm gonna stream that. And
Nice.
Yeah, it will lead by example, right? It's it's do as I do, not as I say. Because if I'm not walking the walk, or if I'm not walking the walk, why the hell would you ever listen to me? Just like you, like the people at F45 see you grinding your ass off doing those workouts, and they're like, oh, okay, she's legit. Like, she's in great shape, she's killing it. Now I should listen to her, as opposed to like if you were 180 pounds just standing there, like, eating chips or
Yeah.
something, you'd be like, what the hell is this lady doing, Yeah. So I wanted to talk to you about, you mentioned triathlon. So, like, that seems like just that does not fit in your, spectrum of, like, what you had going on.
Oh my God, it sucked. Like, I found out that you do triathlons. I was like, I could not. Like, pure respect. It was a 3-part competition for the fittest person on Camp Arifjan.
Wow.
And so I thought, okay, I'll go ahead and compete in it. And I was looking at the criteria and I was like, I really don't want to do this. The very first day, they had a triathlon to start it all off with. So they did a 5K swim. And I joined the Army for a reason. Okay, I can't swim worth crap. Like, I suck. I might as well doggy paddle all of it because it was terrible.
Wait.
Then
you said a 5K swim.
Yes, it was like a 5K or like, I don't know. It was super long.
They said really
it was like 30.
long. Yeah.
Yeah, they said it was like 30 laps in the pool. I don't know if it's like a 5K. Then again, their conversions were really weird in general over there. So I was like, okay, whatever. 30 laps it is. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it was like 1,000. This was a long time ago.
No,
but
either way, it's a long swim. Yeah.
I'll just like say it's 1,000, whatever. And then the bike part, it was originally going to be, I think, 5 miles, and they shortened it down to 3 because it was taking a little bit longer than they were expecting. And then they finished it all off with a 3-mile run. And then after all of that, we would take a short break and rank us. And then they did a sprint, drag, carry kind of thing. And then ranked us again. And then they had the rest of the competition on the second day. So it was a lot.
Yeah. That's really cool, though. And how did you – so was that your, like, first and last triathlon? After that, you're like, all right, I've done it. Bucket list, check.
Absolutely. I was like, oh, this is not my wheelhouse. I was like, I can't swim that well. I mean, there's like one other thing I'm going to go for in the Army, which is called a GAFB, where you have to swim 100 meters in 2 minutes, I think. Yeah, 100 meters in 2 minutes in full uniform. That's the only thing I'll probably ever train for swimming related from now on.
In full uniform? Good God, that sounds miserable.
Oh, it's fun.
Different definitions of fun. Okay. No, that's really cool. So I'll tell you what. Me personally, I played football basically my whole life. I played semi-pro football. I played professional indoor football in Buffalo. And when I turned 29, it's actually a funny story. I've said it a million times, so if you've heard this, sorry. But okay, it's kind of funny, but not really. So I was playing Grand Theft Auto 5, and I was like towards the end of my football career, and I was like, I can't keep doing this. It was arena football. You know me. I'm a little guy. Like, I'm not some, like, towering monster, So after the games, I felt like I was in a car accident, And,
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah, and you're getting thrown to the wall, and, it's carpet on concrete. So I was just, my body was getting beat up. I was all these, like, nagging injuries and stuff. So I was like, I want to stay competitive in something. And I had been, like, kind of dabbling in 5Ks. And I was the captain of my swim team in high school, so I know how to swim, which is, like, in my opinion, the hardest part of a triathlon because it's just such a unique skill. You know what I mean? If you don't learn young, it's hard to learn older. So I was playing Grand Theft Auto, and you can do a triathlon in Grand Theft Auto. So I was like, this sounds interesting because I'm like, I know how to swim, I know how to run, anybody can ride a bike, and I just needed a bike. I didn't have one. So I asked my dad if he could, like, front me the money for a bike. So he got my bike, and it was like March of 16. And then he passed away in May of 16. So he never got to see me even do a single race. So then from that point on, my first race was in June. I was like, it was the end of May, actually. It was a couple weeks before my first race. I was like, I'm just going to work my ass off now to do the best that I can. And then, one thing led to another, and I found out there were age group national championships. So then, I made that my goal, and then I made it. So then I qualified for Team USA, that first year. And I was like, all right, well, this is my new passion. I'm obsessed with it now. And that's been, the past 4 or 5 years now, I've just been, like, grinding triathlons. But I'm starting to get in, and this is a long-winded story, but I'm getting somewhere with this, I promise. But I now, doing this F45 stuff, for the past month, I really, because I was a member of Cowboys Fit. Well, I still am. I got to go cancel it. I'm officially a member today, by the way. So let's go.
Woo!
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
And my buddy joined too. Shout out to Lorenzo. But
Hey.
now that I've done this for a month, and I would go to Cowboys Fit, and like, you just can't get a workout on your own the way that you can at a place like that. It's
Yeah.
I tried. I did a lot of functional stuff because I'm aware of. There's no reason for me to be like max bench pressing and shit like that. Like, what's the point?
Like for a triathloner? No.
Yeah. I'm gonna blow my shoulders out for what? Because I'm trying to do 315. Like who?
It's okay. You can without your arms,
Yeah, that's right. Just like a fish. But so that was where I was like, I've really started to make the transition to like functional training. I've been functional training on my own for like about a year now. But now the F45, I'm like all in, and I absolutely love the training. And I did my first Spartan race on Saturday. So now I did the stadion at AT&T Stadium this weekend.
Oh yeah.
And that just like ignited a fire under me. Now I'm obsessed with like those kind of competitions. So this is why I wanted to bring the story like full circle here. With your CrossFit stuff, have you ever done any type of like, aside from like, well, you did do, you said when people were like training with you, were there CrossFit like competitions and stuff?
Yeah.
On the base overseas? What were those like?
They were awesome. That one competition I was talking about, the fittest person on Air John, there was a CrossFit event involved in it as well. I have a bunch of CrossFit shirts you'll see me wear sometimes. I think one of them is a woman's WOD. And so they had all the women's WOD. So they had Linda's where you take, I think it's a certain percent of your body percent, and they do a deadlift, I think it's a clean, and then they also do a bench press according to the percent body fat, good Lord, the body weight that you have. And so you have to try and finish it as quickly as possible. They also had Sydney where it's, 5, 10, 15, 10 rounds of like push-ups, pull-ups and all that. They had all kinds of different competitions and I loved it. I miss doing CrossFit more than anything else. The only reason why I stopped is because it's so expensive now and it killed me inside, because my dream was to go and do like the CrossFit games. Like that's still a dream. I was like, if I ever get enough money again and to be able to do CrossFit every single month, I'm going to go do it, because that's a huge dream of mine right there. And I freaking love CrossFit.
I could totally see you doing that too. That seems like it's like a perfect fit for you, because you're really strong, but you're athletic, and like with rugby, your cardio's up, so I think like that seems like a pretty good fit for you. Well, you should like F45. Will you sponsor her? What the hell? Let's go.
Shoot, I wish. I'm still like trying to find a sponsor in some sort of way, but I have to remind myself like everyone wants a sponsor. Like let's be real. You gotta be good. You gotta like show people that you have what it takes. But sometimes it takes years to show people and get them to actually notice you. So that's why I'm always trying to find different creative ways to like hopefully maybe one day get sponsored. So because I know sometimes I don't look the most athletic, but I put out more than to the people left and right of me every single time. So
well, that's one of the things that I took, and because my goal too is like I always wanted to be a professional athlete, and I never, got there because I look like frickin', Mario. You know what I mean? Like I never, so if I shave, it's a me. But I never got there, So my goal is like, I see this like, I don't know how to describe it, but my vision's kind of like, I see a way out through like YouTube and social media. Like that's the way, if I could, because there's a guy that I'm going to have on the show at some point. We've been trying to connect. He's crazy busy. His name's Patrick Cutter. And Patrick, if you're listening, you're coming on here. He's a real big inspiration. He was an inspiration to me when I first started running, because I didn't want to get into endurance sports because I was scared of like, of just like being a rail. You know what I mean? Like you see a lot of these runners who are just like poor posture, no definition. They never lift or anything. And I'm like, I don't want to be that, So that's why, like, towards the end of my football career, I started like panicking because I'm like I know how I am. I got to be competitive. I got to compete in something.
Yeah.
And this Patrick Cutter guy, I just stumbled upon him because he lived in Rochester, New York, which is right next to Buffalo where I lived, and he's just freaking jacked, and he's running like 2-hour 45-minute marathons. Like he's an animal. And I started following him in 2016 when I was starting to really get into endurance sports, and I've just followed his progress. And he was working overnights in a grocery chain called Wegmans, which is super popular in New York. He was like working the warehouse overnights and just grinding, just running constantly, and he's chiseled. He's huge. And I'm like, okay, well, if this guy can run as much as he does and he's as successful as he is doing it, well, if one person can do it, that means it can be done. So then, I'm gonna get into this. Well, fast forward to 2021, and he actually just moved to Florida, and he's a full-time like online running coach. So that's kind of how I envision things too. That's why I put all the work into YouTube and the show like this is because I want people I want to be a beacon of positivity, and I want to, have this, space be an area where people come and draw motivation from different stories and different people. And I've always so going back to like what you were talking about with like wanting to get sponsored and stuff, it's just like consistency, it's what makes you stand out from the crowd. If you have a body of work of like 4 or 5 years, if you daily just hitting it, going hard, like it took me a while to really not be self-conscious about putting stuff on the internet, because I was like, who am I? You know what I mean? I'm just some guy who's working out. What the hell? Who am I? But as time's gone on, I've had so many people reach out to me on the side and just be like, you've inspired me to do this, or like start asking me questions about what I'm doing. And it's pretty cool to know that, like, I don't care if I have a bazillion likes. If someone messages me and says that I changed their life, I think that's pretty cool. And, you've like 12 years on me, so you got plenty of time.
Yeah. I know. I'm in that huge loop right now with the social media. I hate social media. Like, whenever F45 had to go virtual, I was the most awkward person you would ever hear. I'd be like, all right, guys, let's do this. It was so awkward. I don't like social media at all because there's so many easy ways to fake what people present, and I hate that. I like to be super authentic in everything that I do, and so that's why I hate social media. But I have to start learning that that's the future. Like, we got to be real. And so what I put on social media, that's why I never post anything on Instagram, is because I second guess myself every single time. And I've tried to have different fitness accounts before, and I just end up falling off because I get super busy or whatever. But if you're listening, this is a sign that you need to start your own social media content, and don't let other people judge you. Only, be true to yourself. Just know what you're posting is what you want. All right? Don't be like me and just hesitate.
That's true. I mean, I had one of the biggest things I struggled with when I started this show was listening to myself. Like, what a horrible, it was just torture. I would listen to myself and I'm like, oh my God, like, what are you doing? my first show I did was I just did a 20 to 30 minute kind of soliloquy on myself, to have people understand where I'm coming from and why I want to do this. And I go back and I listen to it, and I didn't even have this microphone. I was just like talking into the abyss, and it just sounded horrible. And I hate my accent, but it's who I am, and it's just, you got to get over it, right? If your goal is to get sponsored, well, you got to kind of reverse engineer that, right? Like, what do sponsors want? They want engagement. They want you to be talking to people. They want you to be a central meeting space for people. Well, how do you get there? By creating content, and that's kind of like a necessary evil of the world as it is today. But that's why I really like YouTube, because I do stream a bit, but I like the idea of controlling the content. What accent was that? content that I put out there. I like the idea of it being calculated. So that's I've been doing a lot of research about like just engagement and how certain people, and I like listening to people that have done it, have been successful, because there's just an infinite number of ways to get creative and to get to the point where you could make this a full-time career. I don't care if I make $1 million. That's not what I want, like you said earlier. I want to be able to wake up and do whatever. I work 10 times harder outside of my job than I do at my job. So I hope you're not listening, job. But I mean, it's the truth. I mean, I don't have, a dead passion for what I do, but I do have a, extreme passion for everything I do outside of that. And if I could make that my everything, man, that would be freaking awesome. So, I think, and this is just a personal opinion, but I think that the way to be successful nowadays is to network and support each other. Who knows who's listening to this? There could be someone who, is running a women's rugby league and the Dallas area is maybe starting a team, or, is looking to have a rugby, a strong girl from the military who's an athlete who plays rugby, be an influencer for the pride. Who knows? But like the only way to get exposure is by helping each other out. And that's another reason why I really like this too. It's not like it was, we're back. It was like only celebrities, because like I don't think celebrities have as much pull as they once did. People follow personalities and who they like on a personal basis, and are more willing to like, I guess, be subjected to their opinions than like, I don't know, Tom Cruise telling me what to eat or something like that. I don't know, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Like it's all about whatever you put out. Like it's super hard for me to take my personality and push it through a screen, because my personality already is very blunt and go-getting and just hardcore. Like I don't mess around kind of attitude basically. And so it's just harder to present that these days, but there's no such thing as excuses. I just have to figure out a technique or a way that I feel comfortable with in order to achieve that level of content that I would appreciate. But
yeah, that's right. You got to be true to yourself, because I think, when you get down there, I mean, I can't believe, I said to my fiance today when I was setting this up, I'm like, episode 40, holy shit, I've done 40 of these things. And it's crazy to think, like we just talked about earlier with your weight loss journey and like you getting in shape, Imagine you as you are right now, going back in time and appearing and talking to Brittany when she was 15 years old.
Oh my God, bless her heart.
Right? 15-year-old Brittany would be like, who the hell is that? That's not me. This is obviously, but it's that first step, and then you don't know where that's going to take you. But you just got to start walking. You just got to go forward. And that's where I think a lot of people, the fear of the unknown or the ego sometimes gets in the way. And being true to yourself and who you are, I think being genuine comes across. Like I could sit here and have a list of questions, pre-made, and like talking to radio voice and Brittany, so you're from Dallas, like I'm not gonna talk like that. That's stupid, and that's not authentic, And if I did that, and say people did start to like, follow me because of that, well, then I'm just building a house of cards. It's the foundation of what I'm doing is a lie. Therefore, everything else based off of that is also a lie. At least, so that's why I just want to be. So like with you, just do it. Like not you. I'm just saying like the way your attitude is like. Yeah. Like that's people like that. You know what I mean? There's too much fluff out there, I think, in my opinion, nowadays. It's like, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. Like I think there is, just be you. That you're not fake. Like every interaction that I've had with you in the month and a half I've known you has been genuine, and I was telling Lorenzo the other day. Have you met Lorenzo yet?
Yes, I have.
Okay. So I was telling him the other day, like when we were, the one day I was doing, I think it was kettlebell swings, or maybe it was something with a kettlebell, and you were standing there and you just went, really? You're going to do the red one? And I was like, damn it, she
Yeah,
caught me.
I remember. I think it was like, I think we were doing kettlebell swings, but you weren't doing, the American ones where they go all the way up overhead.
Mm-hmm.
You were doing ones, and I was like, bro, you can't get that up overhead. I was like, really? I was like, I can do the black one. What are you doing? Come on, let's go.
I was like, damn it, she caught me.
Was like the white weight, and he's like, oh, my shoulder, and I was like, oh, I'm sorry, bro. Like, I mean, I always feel so bad when I try to push someone and they're like, oh, I'm injured. I'm like, I'm sorry, I didn't know.
She said, oh yeah, and then slapped his shoulder. Be like, yeah, does that hurt you, bitch? No, I was kidding. So how did you get involved with F45? Where did that kind of fall into play?
Oh man, I've been there since we actually started, like they broke ground. So I was on, I guess, Indeed is what it's called, where you go and look for jobs and all that. Cause I had just gotten certified and I was working at LA Fitness, and whatever you do, once you become a personal trainer, do not work there. If LA Fitness is listening, I hope they're listening, cause that's a sign, but.
You're on blast, LA Fitness.
Yeah, to the man. So I started working at LA Fitness for about 3 months, and then I got a text from Indeed and Norris, who reached out, and he said, are you still interested in being a personal trainer here? I was like, oh yeah, for sure. So they had me come try out the class first, actually that F45 in Corinth, and I liked how it worked and everything. I thought it was fun. And then they said, oh, we like your energy, we'll stay in touch. About a month or so goes by, and I was like, I hope they didn't find another trainer. And then finally they text me, they say, hey, we're doing a mini boot camp. Our very first boot camp was literally, I think, 8 people, and we were ecstatic. We were like, we actually have people. Wow. And I'm how much we've grown. It's crazy. For a little bit, I was scared, especially during COVID. I was so scared that we were going to have to shut our doors and I was going to be out of job, but I wasn't really focused on the job that I was going to lose, but all the connections and the people I've met and just, what I do. And so, so we've been open for now for about 1.5 years, I think. Yes. So that's basically how I got into it. And I said, screw you, LA. They asked me where I was working, and I bluffed them really hard, and they said that they would promote me, but I was like, nah. So I said no to the money and chose F45 all the way just because of the environment that we create there. So I love it.
Yeah, those big box gyms, I mean, I don't know. I kind of see them, and I'm just basing this off of pure speculation, but I don't see. You can only pull the wool over people's eyes for so long. Like, the direction is the big part of a workout. If you don't know what you're doing, going to a gym doesn't, it's $10 or $20 or whatever the cost is, but you walk in and you just walk around. You don't know what you're doing. Half the people there are just like working out their mouths more than anything. They're just talking, and you got half of those people that are just like we talked about earlier, just bench pressing or doing arms every day, and you'll have you'd see a lot of women will just not touch the weights and just go to the treadmill, and it's like, you're paying a membership for a treadmill, like what are you doing, So there's a lot of that, and I think people like the direction. People love I love the idea of going to a gym. Tell me what to do, whoop my ass for 45 minutes. I'm in and out. Boom, we're good to go.
Yeah.
And
I remember working there, and they were trying to get me to sell personal training or just gym memberships in general. And I was like, I can't sell, as a saleswoman, I cannot sell something that I do not think I would buy myself. I cannot do it. I just don't want to say, oh yeah, you should buy this product. I could never do it. And the people I trained too, they were basically tricked into buying a package deal, and they couldn't get out of the personal training session out of the personal training bills until they completed the session. So it was like a scam. And so they would come in and be like, I'm just here because I have to get rid of this bill. And so they already immediately came in to fail because they did not want to. They just wanted to get out of something because LA Fitness wouldn't let them get out of it. So it was a waste of their time and my time and their money. And it made me terrible. So I was straight up trying to figure out a way to something that they'd be interested in. So that way they might actually continue fitness on their own in the future, even if it's not at LA Fitness. It's the last grain of hope.
Yeah.
So
that's the thing in fitness that kind of upsets me is the idea of there's just so many shysters out there. it's ironic that in the age, that we're in, the age of information and, the age of the internet, we have everything available to us that we could possibly need, yet there's more obese or overweight people now than there have ever been. But yes. There's more gyms that there have ever been. There's more information. There's more healthy food that you can imagine. But it's just so obviously there's a disconnect somewhere, and I think it's the idea that a lot of these places aren't truly looking to help people out. They're more because I know the business model. A lot of these places are. It's the subscription model. It's let's just get them paying $10-$20 a month. They forget about it. It's like a Hulu account. I may not watch Hulu for 3 months, but I forget about the $7 a month that's coming out of my account. And it's the same thing with a gym. It's great, got your credit card. Let's just charge you monthly, and you're on your own. And then there's no genuine. So that's why I love I think the sense of community is really what I think the F45 stuff is has a huge benefit, because I think if you just are wandering, you sign up for a gym, you pay you pay the enrollment fees, and you pay all that stuff, and you're just walking around. You don't know anyone in there. You're lost. There's no help. If you do want help, they're going to charge you an arm and a leg, for the training. Yeah. And I think, and that's where a lot of people get turned off. And then, it's just seen as a failure, where you were never even set up to even be remotely successful in the first place unless you knew what you were actually doing,
Yeah, that's why any time that someone new comes in and they immediately ask what the price is, I could tell a gym in the past had really screwed them over. And I tell them hey, I recommend you trying this product out first, because you don't go and look for a car and think automatically whether or not you're going to buy it before you even try it out. Right. You want to test the quality of something or do some research on it before you go into the logistics of everything else. So that's why I tell people all the time, I'm don't go to the mindset of how much it's going to cost. Plus, once you figure out what the quality of the service that we provide and everything, or just the quality of the gym, then you ask yourself, will this be a good investment for myself? And I think that's what a lot of people think this year overall in the whole COVID has been: invest in yourself. I think that's the whole theme that it's been, which I think is phenomenal. And I think hopefully it continues and honestly surpasses the growth that we've already come through personally and physically. So
yeah, I think it's perspective too, because when for what I pay at F45, well, what I now pay at F45, you go and have dinner and spend that much money. You go, you could go to a bar and spend that much money in one night. But I get to go, 6 times a week, 4 weeks a month. So 24 times I get to have this ridiculously intense, supercharged community workout. To me, that's a no-brainer. But if you're not someone who's working out, or you're not in the scene, you go, well, Planet Fitness or LA Fitness compared to F45, why would I pay that much money to go to F45 when I could pay $10 a month? Well, obviously, if someone's saying that, you don't really understand the difference. It's two different things.
Yeah,
it's just two.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you can definitely be successful you don't even need a gym to be successful. You only need yourself. Sometimes people require a little bit more tools to get there, just to develop a level of education and understanding, which I'm the same way. I cannot work out in an empty gym by myself, because I'm a very competitive person and I require some gym bro next to me to be lifting 25s on each side of the barbell, so that way I can just outlift him, motherfucker, because that's the way I roll. That's what I need to do. It's all about competition for me, but everyone works differently.
No, that's right. That's exactly right. And I'm a maniac. I know I'm a maniac. Every day after F45, I go home and I do some kind of other triathlon workout too. I have my triathlon program tangent to my F45 stuff. So did the workout today, came home, and I did an hour on the bike. Tomorrow I have the F45 workout, and then I'm going to the gym and I have an hour run I got to do. So there's but it's having said that, I know how much I enjoy working out and how driven I am. I'll never go to a gym on my own or at my house and have the same, experience that I would have at a gym, because I, like you, am also very competitive and I want to be the top person. I want to go nuts. I want to go super hard. That Murph workout that we did, I couldn't have just done that on my own at a gym by myself. I wouldn't have pushed myself, but me and Danny were there, and I'm looking at Danny doing it, and I'm like, okay, all right, let's do this, baby. Let's go. And then that's what drives me. So I'm exactly like the same way like you.
Hell yeah, I love it. And like, because we've had some like mini competitions at the gym and everything. It was like back before you were there, and it was hilarious. It was awesome to see some people just thrive off of it. Like you just like see the number go up and be like, nuh-uh, here, let me at this. And like, and then other people, some people were like worried that it was counting for something like a discount or something. I was like, no, like it's just for you. Like, calm down. It's okay. It's okay. Get you start doing stuff like, but yeah, I miss doing those competitions and everything, especially within F45. But hey, playoffs, those are coming up. So that's a whole new workout.
What's that?
Yeah, heard of that? Okay, so we have this. It's kind of like a CrossFit event in a way. So I think it's like 10 different stations, and you have a minute at each. So you got your rower, you got pull-ups, you got burpee over box jumps or something like that. You got squat, press, stuff like that. Just a bunch of different stations, and you're trying to do your best at each one, and then they rank you globally with the rest of the F45ers and also at the gym. So you get a certain number of points and everything, which is awesome. And F45 even has their own F45 games, I think, which I thought that was pretty cool too.
Really?
Yeah, I found that out too. Apparently, like they go and compete just like the CrossFit games in a way. So
you just changed my life with that sentence, right? Like now that's my mission. Now I got to do that.
I don't know if you have to be a coach or not. I just heard about it and I was like, oh really? I was like, that's crazy. And
I'll be
like,
a coach. Let's go. I'm in.
Yeah, like, let's go. I'm ready. Put me in, coach. Like, come on. But yeah, apparently games and stuff.
Well, so I'll tell you, after I did the Spartan race on Saturday, that's why I'd never gotten into Spartan races or anything like that because I didn't. I mean, now I know, and I've known for a while, but like Tough Mudders, for instance, like they're not races. You know what I mean? They're just like you go do it. Yeah, and I'm not about that. Like
No.
Yeah, I gotta. Even if I suck, I want to know where I land, so the next time I do it, I'll get better. You know what I mean? Like I don't just do shit to do shit. I don't have time for that. So after the Spartan at the race, I just was like, oh, this is good because it's basically at least the stadion. From what I understand about it, the stadion that I did is pretty different from like an outdoor one that they do or like they have trail ones or whatever. But the stadion was like basically all the shit that we do at F45. It was slam balls, it was box jumps, it was what was it? What else was there? I'm trying to think of the stuff that we did. A lot of like just all the workouts that we do at F45 was just translated directly to like basically every station of the 20 stations that you did at the race. So that's why like now I'm just searching for races, like obstacle course races, but like races. So the next thing I'm going to do is the High Rocks. Have you ever heard of that?
Yes, I've been wanting to do that. They were supposed to have it last year, and then it got canceled due to COVID because F45, all the coaches were going to do it together.
August 14th. I'm going. You in?
I'm down. If you need a teammate, wait. I'll get to you because I need to make sure I don't have like Army drill. What month is that?
August 14th.
August 14th. I'll get with you. I have to make sure. I don't want to leave you hanging.
Okay. Yeah, August 14th, because we were talking about it today, actually. They're doing another Spartan race in Dallas in October, too. And Norris was saying he's putting a team together. So we're going to do that October 23rd, I think that one is. Okay. But the High Rocks thing, me and Danny are going to do it. I sent him, some YouTube videos of it, the Dallas one, and he's like, dude, you think I could do that? I'm like, do you understand, like, what good shape you're in, man? Like, yes, of course you could do it. What are you talking about? But, so August 14th, if you're not busy, let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's get some people going because it looks pretty freaking intense. It looks like it. But it's like all the same shit that we do, sled pushes and farmer carries. I don't know about easy, but it'll be something.
It's okay. I'll be there as like motivation. Like, let's go.
No, you probably beat me, but it's motivation for me to go hard.
CrossFit stuff that's not muscle ups. We'll be good.
Yeah. I always was intrigued by CrossFit, but I never went full into it. Do you still do any of the CrossFit stuff?
I do sometimes. I haven't done any Olympic lifting with a barbell in a while. I do it with dumbbells a lot, just to keep the fundamentals and everything. Mm-hmm. If I do anything CrossFit related, it's probably just the dumbbell work and maybe sometimes a HIIT workout, but I don't even do the CrossFit pull-ups that I used to do. Don't do any double unders or anything. Just because I've been so out of season. Like every single time I get into some sort of a thing that requires a different kind of fitness, because I train according to what I have. So right now it's rugby, right. And then come the time it'll be more army related. And then I guess the springtime will be again rugby. So that's how my whole fitness clock revolves around.
No, that makes sense. That's exactly why I really was intrigued by the Spartan race, because I'm doing F45 on a daily basis and I'm training for triathlon. So it's like a marriage of these two sports that like is perfect for the Spartan race, because it was, you're running a 5K in there too. So a lot of the people there actually would either have like good cardio and, they would struggle with some of the obstacles, or vice versa. Some of these dudes were freaking jacked, but, they're winded with the runs in between. They'd be walking. So I had like a good blend of both. I just, I've never done it before, so I sucked at some of the, the obstacles. But I fell off the rings. That was pretty embarrassing. There's like a technique where you got to like do both hands. You know what I mean? Like I was just going like this. I was trying to just swing back and forth.
Yeah.
But they were like plastic. And I was like, I don't know. There was a million people before me that went, so they're all sweaty. So like the fourth one, I just like my hand just slipped because I didn't realize to do the the double grip kind of thing. That and the spear throw. I've never even touched a spear in my life. Yeah. So,
that's cool.
Yeah, it was cool. It was really good. It was a spear, and he threw it like 15 yards in front of you, and you only had one. I did the age group, so it was like a pretty competitive race. So you only had one shot per station, and then if you screwed it up, you had to do 15 burpees.
15, that's easy. Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't that bad, but it takes time off, So 15 burpees is like, I don't know, maybe like a minute.
Yeah, it's a minute.
Yeah, so, I did 2 stations. I did do 15 burpees. So I did the whole thing in 44 minutes, and I probably could have done it in 42, if I didn't screw it up. And then I probably would have maybe gotten the top 10. I was 15th in my age group out of like 85 or something like that. So I did pretty good. But, I hold myself to, like, I'm super competitive. So, I'm like, damn it, I wasn't top 10. But, like, that's a completely unrealistic goal because it's my first one, Yeah.
But, I mean, there's another one coming up, though, so that's all that matters.
Yeah, that's right. So with you, what's next? Like, because you're in season right now, right, with rugby?
Yeah.
And when does your season run till?
So I have to check our schedule, but I think our last game is in Corpus Christi if we actually get enough players to go. I might actually call it after this next game coming up on July 3rd in Abilene, just because I'll need to start getting ready to get back into school mode. But I'll still be training and everything. So comes fall time, so the Army has like this fitness test, and I like to be like up at the top because they recently switched it, and I used to get max purpose score, but now I'm like trying to get the new score, if that makes sense. So right now I'm at like 525, and I really want to get 600 points, and it's super hard to do it. And so I'll just start shifting my gears to be able to train for that so I can actually max out the test.
And what's the specific training look like for that?
It's kind of like the Spartan race, like you were saying, because you have to have endurance and you also have to have strength, because I think it's 5 different events. So you have a deadlift, then you have a push-ups, the hand release push-ups, a ball throw, and then a sprint drag carry, and knee tucks, which is basically like a pull-up sideways, and you tuck your knees into your elbows, and then a 2-mile run to finish it all off.
Wow, that's pretty intense. Yeah, jeez. How do you train for something like that? Do you follow a program, or do you just like do that stuff daily, or what's it like?
I kind of do a mixture of things. So a lot of people, they'll just kind of do the events. But like, for example, the ball throw, it's kind of a lot of hips involved. So I'll do a lot of cleans to try and prep for that, a lot of kettlebell swings. And then the sprint drag carry, I'll do a lot of HIIT workouts. That way I can go and do a large amount of output in a fast amount of time, or a short amount of time. And then upper body wise, I'll do a lot of pull-ups just in preparation for the knee tucks, and then running, I'll just, run.
Makes sense. That adds up.
Yeah, it seems to make sense. And then last but not least, like the deadlift, I have to get 340 to max it, and my max right now is about 300. So I'm just trying to up the weight as much as I can.
I have a friend moving down here. You two are going to connect. I'll have to connect you two. Her name is Shay. She just got engaged. Congratulations, Shay. She's in the military. She's a power lifter. She's a beast.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, when we get off the call, I'll send you her Instagram so you can follow it. But they've started their own like strength company too.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and they're bringing that. I mean, they're gonna. Their goal is to open up a gym down here. Like they're going to open up like a powerlifting gym down here.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. So you two have a lot in common, and she's moving down here. I think in September or October, like coming up real quick. So I'll send you a DM, and you can check her out. So I think you two will definitely hit it off. And I don't know how old she is, but she's definitely in her mid-20s. So yeah, you guys are around. Yeah. What is it? Oh, I was going to tell you, too, I had a girl on, Elizabeth Lee, a couple weeks ago. She's in, Oklahoma City. And she's a power lifter. She's going to the national championships July 2nd. So I'll send you her information, too. You can follow her. She's another cool one to watch because she does all the Olympic powerlifting stuff. Like her Instagram.
Oh, yeah.
All that.
I think I listened to that podcast. Yeah, she does Olympic lifting.
Yeah, she's a beast.
That's right.
She's a beast.
Hell yeah.
Like, some of her pictures, like her quads are just incredible. Like she's a really cool story too. So and it's cool. And that's the point of the show. I get to meet and talk to just really cool people, and and get your message out there too. So what I do with everyone as well is I like to, in the show notes when we're done here, put your social medias in there. And if you have anything else that you'd like to, send my way to, I don't know if you have any, like, if people have charities that they run for or a website for a cause that they like or whatever, just send me that and then I'll put it in the show notes so it'll live on the podcast platform and YouTube forever. So whoever listens to it can, click on it and follow you however they want.
Absolutely. Sweet. Sounds good.
Well, we're coming up on an hour and 10 minutes, believe it or not. Yeah, that went by fast. Right. Are you comfortable now? Were you nervous at all? Was this painless?
I wasn't. It was funny. I actually practiced the bio of myself because I hate talking about myself because then I feel like I'm being really conceited and like, oh, you're being a selfish bitch. Like, no. I also don't know how to describe myself either. I don't know why.
You did go on a little bit long in the beginning. I did think you were a selfish bitch for a second, to be honest.
That's fine. Everyone does. I mean.
But hey, what I'll say here is, because this is completely just off the cuff, just talking. I always like to give you the last word. Do you have any advice for anyone that, wants to, as a fitness professional, any advice for someone who, may be struggling with weight or has a similar journey that you had, or anything that we didn't cover that you thought we were going to, the floor is yours for any closing comments here.
All right, sweet. I guess it obviously depends on what you're training for, but whatever it is, it's going to obviously take time and dedication. If you're trying to lose weight right now, the number one thing I wish that I knew whenever I first started was weights is not your enemy. Do not train legs every day, and don't train for abs, train for yourself. So if there's something that you enjoy, become the best person at it, whether it be literally just doing dumbbell curls for the rest of your life. Okay. Whatever it is, be the best at it. Okay. That way you can find something that you can tell people that you're the number one professional of dumbbell curls or whatever it is. And then women, if you are afraid of playing rugby, don't be. I promise it's not as scary as you think. It's another sport that's been so put down that I think anyone and everyone could love. So I think everyone needs to try rugby at least once in their life. Plus, then you are automatically a certified badass, and you'll probably get a beer or two for free. So, but yeah, just keep putting in the work, and the work will come back in the end. So, yeah. Well
said. Oh, actually, I before we go, I do have one last question for you that it just reminded me of when you were talking about rugby. When I played rugby at the University of Buffalo, they had some absolutely bizarre shenanigans that they made you do for like certain things, like the naked mile, ridiculous. The shoot the boot. I don't know if you ever heard of that.
I haven't done it.
Yeah, I refuse to do any of that shit. You kidding me? Like, I'm not gonna get arrested because I scored a try, for the naked layup. I'm like, no, this is what? I'm not doing that. But like, they had no problem doing it. Is there a lot of that stuff in women's rugby too, or is it just the guys being dudes?
The first time I scored my first ever try, my team was like, oh, I forgot what it was called, but the tradition of rugby is if you score your first try, you have to drink beer out of your boot, aka cleat, and then run around the field naked, or at least without your shirt and pants on. And so I never got a chance to, which I'm kind of happy, but also sad about, because apparently everyone's done it. And I'm like, how has everyone done it? Like, I feel like I would have seen something, like a video or whatever, but I was like, if I did that, everyone would be blessed that day. So I'm not trying to bless too many people at once. So
that's a good counter. Yeah, when I scored my first try, and after the game, I just kind of was just like, gotta go. I'm busy. I got something to do. Yeah.
To be fair, I did get close at one point because there was a game 2 weeks ago that I basically got pantsed, and there's actually pictures of part of my butt hanging out while I'm running down the field scoring a try. So
well, you know what? You said you want to be sponsored, and in order to sponsor, you got to get traction. I mean, a good scandal gets you viewers, whether it's good or bad. Let's get you some viewers. Let's leak that photo.
Yeah, it's just a really white ass.
Well, hey, phenomenal. I appreciate you coming on the show. Seriously, it's really been a pleasure. Obviously, I see you, daily, so I'll see you at the gym.
Yeah, see you tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll be there tomorrow. Are you gonna be there at 6?
Oh yeah, I'll be coaching.
In what is that? 11 hours? Less than 11 hours. I'll see you.
Woo.
So it's
Absolutely.
not goodbye. It's a see you later.
Exactly. See you soon. Bis bald.
Thanks for listening, everybody.